Weather Extra Day and the changes made by the Storm Prediction Center and what we can expect here in our area.
And it's Thursday, so that means a new update to the drought monitor. We're on your side if the next rain events will help alleviate it.
Plus, what you need to know about checking your trees, especially in times of severe weather.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
And welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. Lauren, Tania, we're about to show you some graphics here. Looks like a lot going on. We've got this risk for severe weather tomorrow. We certainly need to be weather alert early tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. All throughout the day, throughout the afternoon, and even until late afternoon. We're watching the period between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., right? Right,
into the afternoon. Let's go straight to the maps here. We'll show you what's going on. As you can see here on First Alert AccuTrack radar, temperatures right now we're showing 63 here at Tuscaloosa, temperature 59 at Birmingham, 49 there at Anniston. The sky is currently mostly, right now we're seeing some clouds building in, but mainly dry here as we scan the sky across the state of Alabama. We're not seeing rain through midnight, but it's tomorrow morning out the door. You can see starting around 8 o'clock across West Alabama. Storm Prediction Center outlook yesterday had more of an enhanced risk back to the southeast. Now we're seeing that back to the west. Just know for any location out there, make sure you have ways to get those alerts tomorrow because that risk is there for the entire area. It's going to be a brief risk. This is going to be a fast-moving system, so for any given location, this won't last all day. You're looking at that threat window, again, mostly a morning time event here for West Alabama, pushing through the heart of the area midday and afternoon, and that's based on the current models, so check in for updates as we continue to fine-tune that forecast. Looking at some of those severe weather ingredients, again, you can see the parameters are there for the possibility. We just can't rule out conditions becoming favorable for tornadoes, especially with these kind of parameters here, the spin and the instability that we look at. But just letting you know that you can see how quickly things kind of progress here. We'll see those parameters moving on to the east direction there as we get into 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of this starting to lift out of East Alabama, and then we'll have improvements. If you have plans, Friday night plans, looks like the weather is going to be fine for you. Weekend, Saturday and Sunday looks nice, but take advantage of the weekend because it's going to be time to prepare for the deep freeze. I'm seeing the possibility of several days where we're going to have lows at night in the freezing range and a lot to certainly track there. So make sure you have your, first off, tomorrow, NOAA Weather Radio close by, a First Alert Weather app. Make sure your mobile devices are charged. It's another day where it's going to be windy out there, and it's going to become windy again next week as colder air blasts into Alabama. Check out the forecast lows looking at Wednesday, Thursday of next week. The possibility of temperatures in the teens and single-digit wind chills, and the daytime temperatures for places like Coleman may not rise above freezing next Thursday. So, I mean, we may drop below freezing in some areas Monday night and stay below freezing through next Thursday morning. So we're going to talk more about the cold, but also we could see a little bit of wintry precipitation Monday night and into Tuesday morning. We'll show you what we're thinking coming up in First Alert Weather.
Some school districts are making changes to tomorrow's schedule because of this severe weather threat. This includes Birmingham City Schools, Hoover, Trussville, Etowah County, and others. You can find a full list on the WBRC News app and WBRC.com. As we get closer to the first alert weather days for the threat for severe weather and winter mischief, counties in Alabama are already getting ahead and keeping the community safe. With the threat of high winds and a low wind possibility for tornadoes tomorrow and bitterly cold air early next week, Hell County EMA Director Russ Whedon says they're prepared for either threat, one in which they have good reasons not to take lightly.
Last year we had 3 tornado touchdowns in Hell County in January, and we were in the yellow as we are again for tomorrow. So, you know, bad things can happen when you're in the yellow and in January. So, yes, a lot of people do not take it serious unless it's spring, but we've been hit 3 times last year.
Whedon says the Greensboro Baptist Church will be open all day tomorrow and will serve as a storm shelter and early next week as a warming station.
And as we plan ahead in your home to stay weather aware, one thing to make sure to check in on are the health of your trees in your yard. Our Brian Henry spoke with the experts on Wednesday to find out the safest way to check your trees.
It was bad, and
Adam Elliott has seen what violent storms can do to trees. He pointed to a recent tornado in Homewood.
a lot of those trees could have been prevented. A lot of them had huge holes at the base and obvious decay.
Now, therein lies the root cause of why so many trees fall during a storm and after a storm. Dale Dickens is with the Alabama Forestry Commission.
It's not typical in the woods or the urban areas. Trees that are healthy have very robust root systems.
Both men say homeowners can take simple steps in making sure their trees are safe and not at risk of falling on their home. Make a visual inspection. Look for cracks at the base. Does it have a bad lean? The Check Your Trees Please campaign is a program the Forestry Commission has been pushing for 2 years now. One small study in Minnesota and Georgia showed much of the home damage and injuries can be prevented from fallen trees during and after inclement weather.
80% of the damage and injuries from trees comes from trees that were already impaired.
At some point, physics is going to kick in.
Dickens and Elliott strongly recommend a licensed arborist to check your trees if you have any doubts about their stability.
We also do what's called risk assessments, to where we can actually do a plot of the trees around your property and triage risks and hazards.
If you want to plant a tree near your home, Dale Dickens says, keep this in mind.
Think about who's going to be easy to topple over.
In other words, low, squat, and wide stand a better chance of taking the brunt of the storm than, say, a tall pine. Going deep for tree safety.
Adam Elliott and Dale Dickens also say the inspection before the storm could potentially save you from having to spend thousands of dollars to repair your home. And in 30 seconds, we'll be joined by a special guest in the studio as we continue to talk about the anniversary of the Selma tornado and how communities are preparing for the severe weather threat tomorrow. We'll be right back.
The risk and the times for the severe weather tomorrow. Count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, of course, we have a severe threat for storms next, or really tomorrow, but there's also the chance for some flurries in the forecast for early next week. We'll talk more about that, of course, in Wes's full forecast coming up very shortly. But welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle, and we have more for you right here.
All right, yeah, we're going to be watching next week, possibility some wintry weather moving in. Joined right now, Kevin Laws, the Operations and Technology Officer, Science and Operations Officer at the National Weather Service in Birmingham. And I tell you, this guy right here, one of the sharpest minds, I think, when it comes to severe weather in our region. And you know, I really take in a lot, Kevin, when you talk a lot about the severe weather and the processes that we have here in Alabama. And tomorrow, we're coming up on the anniversary of the Selma tornado. And I know that means a lot to you, having covered that. You know, last year we all watched as what happened there, but you've put together an event in memory of tomorrow and to just raise awareness. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, tomorrow is the severe weather. Tomorrow's the actual anniversary of the Selma tornado,
Right.
being January 12th. But we're going to have it on Saturday morning on the 13th from 10 to 12 in downtown Selma at the Arts Revive Center in downtown. And we hope folks come out and just, you know, remember the tornado with us, share their stories and their experiences. And I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to listen to folks, have a good listening session as to what their struggles are, what their challenges are in the community as far as weather awareness and weather alerts. And I think it'd be a good opportunity for all of us to do that.
There's a lot that we learn, especially after these events happen, and we learned a lot from the Selma tornado, but it is kind of interesting. I mentioned this earlier, that tomorrow, on that anniversary of the Selma tornado, we have another threat tomorrow, and we do need to talk a little bit about that. I mean, you know, obviously you guys have taken a close look at this setup for tomorrow. Just share some of your thoughts since we have you here.
Yeah, I think you said it exactly right. It's going to be a fast-moving system, and it's going to have a lot of wind energy with it, just like the one last week. So we can see a lot of winds, gradient winds, and possibility of a lot of straight-line winds as the front actually comes through. So hopefully the tornado threat will be a little bit further south of us and maybe stay at bay down there. So hopefully that won't be as big of a challenge tomorrow. But it's January,
right?
January 12th again, so it definitely could be a problem for us.
Well, talk about it. You know, last year with the Selma tornado, as we go back and we look at that, you know, looking at the comparisons, that was a fast-moving system that day, that moved through on that day. And just because a system, you know, is racing across the state doesn't mean that a tornado can't happen.
That's right, and remember too that it happened kind of early in the day. Usually we're accustomed to tornadoes in the evening and overnight hours. This one sort of happened around midday, so same thing again tomorrow.
Well, we see a lot of risk outlooks, and I know yesterday the Storm Prediction Center, they were outlooking areas to the south and east and then again across west to Alabama, but that doesn't necessarily mean any one area is immune from severe weather tomorrow.
That's right. So I think everybody should stay weather alert tomorrow, at least for the midday hours.
So, you know, we get through tomorrow. Again, Saturday, this is an event that's going to be happening in Selma. And tell us again where we can go and what to expect.
Yeah, we're going to have it at the Arts Revive Center in downtown Selma. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday. And we're going to just have the community come out. It's going to be a little outreach event. We're going to give away some weather radios. And so hopefully those people can we can get them programmed and get you ready. And most of all, we want to hear your experience from last year and see what challenges you may have.
What's something that really stands out, though, from, I mean, being there at ground zero after that tornado? I remember going down, I just couldn't get over how quickly the utility crews were able to, you know, clear the roadways. I mean, the damage there in the Selma area, it was quite extensive.
Oh, yeah, it was a wide tornado. I think strong EF2, almost an EF3 in some parts there. The real amazing part was no injuries and no fatalities out of that. As wide and as devastating as that tornado was, a lot of hero stories from that day, and we'll share those on Saturday. Now,
was that the same one? Now, I know there were fatalities. Was it the Millbrook area, or was it? It was south of Verbena, and it was down in, I believe, close to Prattville.
That's right. It was northern Watauga County there.
Yeah.
I think Boonville. I can't remember the exact community, but
yeah,
we had 7 people killed there in mobile homes. But that was on the second tornado associated with that same supercell.
Okay.
So we actually had a second EF3 tornado past that EF2 that was in Selma.
It was kind of interesting last January because we had that major freeze right around Christmas time, and then that was it for winter. It seemed like we had one severe risk after the other. You know, when you look at this pattern, based on your experience, do you see us? I know we have a severe weather threat tomorrow, but do you see this pattern shifting anytime soon?
I don't really, except for next week with that big cool down that everybody's expecting. But
yeah,
you know, it is January, but the pattern had been so stagnant for a long time, and now it's so active. It just seems like we're on a roller coaster, going from warm weather to cold weather. Typical in Alabama for the winter, for sure.
Yeah, I would ask you to predict the next coach at Alabama, but we'll hold off on that for the. we'll let the sports team handle that, right?
Good idea.
Hey, thanks so much, Kevin. Certainly appreciate you being here with us tonight. Kevin is with the National Weather Service. Again, that event happening in Selma, 10 a.m. until 1 o'clock at the
Arts Revive Center, downtown Selma.
Downtown Selma. Weather radios, weather awareness, an event there happening on Saturday. But we'll talk more about the severe weather threat tomorrow. More on that winter weather possibility coming up next week. That is after the break. Stay with us. Well, today is Thursday. I know we have a lot of big weather changes coming up, but today is the day when we receive the updated drought monitor. Very curious to see what kind of impact that last rainmaker had on the drought situation across Alabama. Let's check in now with Matt and Mickey.
It is Thursday, which means we have the newest update on the drought monitor. I know a lot of people are curious to see if we've seen some improvements since we've seen so much rain over the past couple of days.
And surely we're getting some improvement there, Matt. Let's take a look here at where we have the extreme drought, first of all.
Well, we just want to note that the data that we're looking at stopped looking at the rainfall on Tuesday around 7 a.m. So I don't think it's going to take all the rain that we saw earlier this week. So this could still see some improvement going in next week when we get the newest update.
That might take us out of the extreme drought, hopefully.
I would assume that extreme drought is probably going to say bye-bye because look what happened from last week. The extreme drought in red, 13% of the state was under that. Now it's just 5% in the latest update.
And like you said, that came in Tuesday, and we had more rain since then and more to come. So there is improvement compared to what we have seen.
So let's look at those rainfall totals. This is just estimated through radar over the past 5 days. And when you see yellow on the map, which we have not seen in a while, you're talking about 2+ inches of rainfall.
That is great. What a blessing to have received all that rainfall. 2.6 inches showing in Birmingham. 3 inches into Centerville.
Yeah, and if you look at those red colors from Chilton County all the way up towards Talladega, you're talking about 3+ inches of rainfall.
Yeah, so looks like Chilton County saw over 4 inches, so crazy.
Yeah, some good stuff right there, and we're in an active pattern. Of course, we could see additional rain tomorrow and maybe more moisture moving in next week, but here's a look at the rainfall tallies for the month so far, and normally we'll average about 5 inches of rain, over 2.5 inches so far in Birmingham.
So we're already halfway there in Birmingham and a good way of the way there into Tuscaloosa and Anniston. Tell you what, Anniston is just about an inch away from the totals they typically see in January.
So that is some improvement right there. And of course, there's a chance for more rain and even severe weather going into tomorrow. So we encourage you, if you haven't already, download the WBRC First Alert Weather app.
And tomorrow, a First Alert Weather Day. You can see the Storm Prediction Center. They've included an enhanced risk across west Alabama for the first part of the day. This is all going to start around 8 o'clock in the morning, and you can see by noontime it's going to be making its way into the heart of the area. Afternoon, and we get to 3 or 4 o'clock, most of this is going to be out of our coverage area. So this is going to be a fast-moving system, but the tornado threat is going to be there. We need to be weather alert. 63 right now in Tuscaloosa, 59 Birmingham, 49 Anniston. It's a lot cooler to the north and east, but later on tonight, those clouds thicken up. Winds are going to pick up from the south at about 10 to 20. We'll probably have some gusts topping 40 miles per hour by 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll start to get some rain in here early in the day, a cold rain. Showers starting to develop by 6 a.m., so there could be some wet roads early, but that's because the atmosphere is going to be priming in out ahead of that next system. Just look at how quickly by mid-morning the temperatures surge into the upper 60s here in parts of West Alabama, but that's the line that we got to watch out for. And notice how quickly that just races through Tuscaloosa by 11 o'clock in the morning through Jasper. And in this line, or just out ahead of it, that's where that threat for tornadoes will be, damaging wind gusts and maybe even some hail with these storms as they move in towards Birmingham, Shelby, Chilton counties through Blount and St. Clair counties there from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. You can see those impacts. There's Gadsden, places like Ragland and Talladega, Lincoln, back to Childersburg and Sylacauga and Rockford around midday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, pushing into Gadsden Center, Anniston, Talladega, and Rockford. By 1 o'clock, this model shows sunshine coming back already for parts of Coleman, Jefferson, Shelby County. So those improvements will happen quickly, and then for the rest of the day, it looks like we'll have stable conditions coming back, and then that colder air catches up again for the weekend. We'll have lows back into the freezing range, but it gets even colder next week. We've got some Arctic air breaking out across the country, and we're talking about freezing temperatures beginning next Monday night and then staying below freezing once we drop below freezing Monday night, staying there through Thursday of next week, and the possibility of single-digit wind chill values as well. So the deep freeze is a real threat next week. Plan for that this weekend. Pipe bursting type cold. Make sure the pipes are well insulated. Could we see any wintry precipitation? There's still a chance Monday night. The models are still showing this. We've been seeing it for several days now, enough to where we need need to make sure that we at least plan for the possibility of some impacts Monday night and into Tuesday morning. At least the timing is more in agreement here. This looks like Monday night, early Tuesday. We could see a wintry mix of snow, sleet, freezing rain. The GFS model is showing the possibility there of some light snow accumulations, and especially to the north here by Tuesday morning. So again, the possibility is still there for some wintry weather. I'd plan for that Monday night into Tuesday. Again, dry into next Wednesday and Thursday. Notice the high on Wednesday, 34. So for some of us, we'll stay at or below freezing to the north even during the day Wednesday. So that's a couple days with temperatures in the freezing range. Certainly some very cold conditions. And I know meteorologist Lauren Linehan's been highlighting that on our First Alert weather calendar, Lauren. And you know what? With these kind of temperatures, it could get interesting again late next week. We might have to watch for the possibility of a winter weather threat.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep a close eye on things. And as we look ahead to Wednesday and Thursday, it does look like we're going to be drying out, quiet, but very cold. But by next Friday, we have highlighted on the First Alert weather calendar that possibility of a rain chance. If it's cold enough, then we'll have to look at that potential for a wintry precip chance. Certainly not a guarantee. Right now, it looks possibly quiet the following weekend. And then as we look ahead to Tuesday and Wednesday, January 23rd and 24th, we may have to be watching that scenario as well. But as we look at today's weather almanac, you can see earlier today, we did manage to get high temperatures above average. So it's been a while since we've seen that, right? I got to tell you guys, though, it's not going to be lasting, because look at this. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook does show temperatures running below average for much of the U.S., apart from parts of the West Coast. And that includes us here in Alabama, looking at January 17th through the 21st. So as we look at those low temperatures here, very possible we could see teens next week, if not maybe into next weekend. Not a guarantee, but we're watching it. And then you see as we get past that weekend, still going to be cold, but temperatures get a little bit more bearable. Not quite Arctic blast territory, but definitely going to be cold as we get into next week. We talked about, of course, it's cold with this initial Arctic blast, but could we see one the following weekend? Not out of the realm of possibility. And then we see those high temperatures beginning to moderate a bit going into the following week. And then as far as the precipitation outlook, it actually looks like we may see below average precipitation at this point. So we still need some help with the drought monitor, as Matt and Mickey were showing us. We've definitely made some improvements, but we want to keep that up. Here we are looking at next Friday, January 19th, showing the possibility of maybe some wintry precipitation, not necessarily guaranteed, but showing some moisture around. So if it's cold enough, we could see that potential for a wintry mix. And then we go into next Saturday and Sunday, looking drier, but much colder. And then as we look ahead to that following week, here we are January 23rd, 24th, showing possibly a system developing in the Gulf of Mexico that could lift northward and bring us some rain. If it's warm enough, we'll have to watch out for a storm threat as well, but nothing set in stone yet. Just generally seeing an active pattern in place thanks to El Nino. So El Nino definitely, of course, going to be keeping us on our toes for January, but we'll have a final look at Weather Extra after the break.
Well, certainly a lot to keep our eye on tomorrow. We will all be here watching it. This time of year you can have, severe weather threats.
You can, unfortunately. And Steve, you'll be out in the storm tracker tomorrow, won't you?
I sure will be. Bright and early in Tuscaloosa. I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be watching it for you, so certainly keep it right here. We'll keep you well informed. Fast-moving system, some improvements this weekend. Winter weather possible next week. We'll have those updates first at 9.